Right, so Season 9 Disney Speedstorm tier list. Here we go. I'm just going to jump straight into it because we've got a lot of characters to talk about. There are 69 characters in the roster, so we've got to get through all of them. I'm going to try and make this a bit snappier than usual, but I make no promises. We're just going to jump straight into it with the useless tier. These are characters that I would not invest in at all. Do not waste your time with these characters. We've got Cruella, Lilo, Donald, Minnie, Daisy, Fix-It Felix, Anxiety, King Candy, Hortensia, Maleficent, Eve, Ennui, and Mulan. The reason why I've put most of the recent mid-season races or event races here is just because the mid-season events suck at the moment. They're too pay to win. Even if characters like Cruella and Maleficent are great, it doesn't matter if they're S tier when you get a chance to get them. It's the fact that if you look at your roster at the moment as a free-to-play player, even as a pay-to-play player, do you have them in your roster? And if you don't, then they are useless. It's useless to have a character in the game that barely any percentage of the player base is actually going to get. So that's my explanation for those characters being there. Lilo we know is bad. She's been bad since the beginning of the game. Donald has only been in the useless tier. He's moved up to alright once, but there's just so many other brawlers that you could invest in that I would just avoid investing in Donald unless he's like the last character that you have to invest in. The same with Minnie. She's alright for team mode, but what I would say is there are so many other characters that do the same thing and are support characters in team mode better than Minnie is. So the one thing that she's good at, she's outclassed by so many other characters, it's not even funny. Daisy is Donald but worse, and Donald is already in the useless tier. Fix-It Felix, I just haven't found a good place for him. There's so many other better defenders. His skills just don't really work. He fills up his boost, but there's so many other characters that have skills that fill up their boost. King Candy just does not have the source. He's got the lowest top speed in the game. He's got no... his skills just aren't it. His skills are the same as Mulan's. And what tier is Mulan in? Also in the useless tier. Hortensia just does not cut it at this point in the game. She's just not... she's also got a really low top speed. And in the current meta that we're in, I feel like it's going to change next season, looking at the patch notes. There are a lot of things that the game... There's a lot of things that the game is doing next season that's going to shape up the meta in the way that they're working skills, or working around skills. But I think at the moment Hortensia just does not have a place in the meta. The same with Eve. She's a brawler that doesn't really work. She doesn't really have any skills that go behind her. She's also got a low top speed as well. She just doesn't work for the game's current meta. And Mulan, the same as King Candy, just does not have the stats to really compete with other characters. We're then going to move into the alright tier. These are characters that you can invest in. but I would only do it if the game tells you to. I wouldn't invest in these characters just for the sake of investment. And we're gonna jump straight into that tier we've got Wally, Elizabeth Swann, Meg, Olaf, Jack Sparrow, Kermit the Frog, Thea, Oswald, Tia Dalma, Mickey, Figment, and Mike. Wally is just okay. He doesn't really excel in anything anymore. You can do well with him, but there are so many other defenders in the game that do a better job. Elizabeth Swann, Oh How the Mighty Have Fallen. Again, there's just so many other defenders. Top speed is such an important thing in the current game's meta. I feel like this tier list is going to change a lot in the coming season, but at the moment, where top speed, the importance of top speed, you're going to find a lot of these lower tier characters are the characters that don't have very high top speed. The same story for Meg. I also don't find her skills all that useful at all. The same story for Olaf, and I do find Olaf's skills more useful, but I just don't find myself being gravitated towards playing as Olaf. Even if I would want to play as a speedster, he's not the one that I would choose. Jack Sparrow, he's got alright stats, but his ability just does not do him any favours. It's a very basic start of the game ability, and I was hoping that he would get an actual ability change to coincide with the Pirates of the Caribbean season. I was hoping he would get an overhaul to his kit, and he just didn't. And that's unfortunate because he's just stuck being this milquetoast vanilla kind of character. And it's really disappointing to see. Kermit, again, I wish he was better. The amount of effort that you need to take to get him, he really should be in those higher tiers. But he just doesn't have the top speed to compete. And his skills don't really benefit him, and they benefit other people on the track way more than they benefit him. So that's just really unfortunate. We then have Fear. Fear for me has everything going for him. It's just his kit is so based around defense. He doesn't have very many offensive skills, and he doesn't really do anything that ups his speed. He's just all about not getting hit, and if he had a higher top speed, then he would be broken, but he doesn't. So he just ends up here. Oswald is just a very finicky character that doesn't really make sense. I'm not really sure what his skills do. Just in general, he's just a weird character to wrap your head around. And I think the Oswald tournaments really did me a favour in showing just how weird and bad the Oswald duo is. Hortensia, I haven't even completed her because I don't have her at level 30 yet. I haven't even completed her tournament yet. But Oswald is just really weirdly designed. It's just a really fiddly, finicky character that doesn't really make sense in the current climate of the game. Tia Dalma, I just haven't had enough experience with Tia Dalma yet to really put her in any kind of ranking. So I've just put her in alright because, I don't know yet. I don't know where she's going to fit, but she doesn't seem to be the most exciting of the new characters. Mickey Mouse is fine. He hasn't had a bit of a top speed boost, top speed bump, but where I would say he is at the moment is just, you can invest in him. In fact, he's probably the character that you will invest in first. And as a first character to invest in, you can do worse. You can also do a lot better. Figment just really needs attention and really needs work. For a character that is as difficult to get as Figment is, he really deserves to be a whole lot better. You would think by putting Figment in the game, Gameloft would be like, this is a character that no one knows, no one cares about, and is a bit of a rogue choice. We're going to make him as insane as possible. And they didn't do that. They made him one of the worst, starting roster characters, and he's just not really had any attention. The only thing that's got him out of the useless tier is characters being introduced that are worse than him. Mike, oh how the mighty have fallen. Mike used to be the best character in the game. He is now floating at the bottom just because top speed is so important, and he doesn't have any. His top speed is pitiful. We then have the useful tier. In this we have Hades, Ursula, Angel, Disgust, Vanellope, Sergeant Calhoun. I think her head is missing, but I believe that's Sergeant Calhoun. Steamboat Mickey, Woody, Gaston, Jafar, Randall, Belle, and Jessie. These are characters that I would say invest in them. They're fine, but they're not going to be getting you all the way in ranked multiplayer and stuff. Hades is ever more growing, and he's just one buff away, like a blanket trickster buff away from being really, really good. He still has some weird, janky skills that don't really work the way intended, but I would say his stats do him a lot of favours. The same with Ursula. She's got some janky skills, but her stats really do her a lot of favours. Angel, I would say her stats need a bump, but her skills do her a lot of favours. And the same with Disgust. Disgust has some great skills, but her stats leave a bit to be desired. Vanellope is a character I don't play as a lot, but I appreciate she's got decent stats, a decent skill, so overall that leads to a decent character. But there are better characters in the Wreck-It Ralph collection. I would say Calhoun probably has a really good shot of going up a few tiers. It's just my personal experience with the character. I haven't got a lot out of them yet, but also they are just a difficult character to unlock and upgrade. And I didn't want to put the harder or more pay-to-win characters up high. You may say that, but I haven't talked about Davy Jones and Barbossa yet. That's because I didn't want to lie about those characters. I didn't want to put them low just because they're pay to win, even though, personally, from the experience that I've had with them and talking to other people, other players, I think they're going to be pretty good. Once more players start getting their hands on them, I think they're going to be pretty meta-defining. But yeah, Steamboat Mickey is one of the best. I believe he's a defender, but he's one of the best lightweight characters in the game, just because his top speed isn't really that hindered by being lightweight. And he's just got a really good trail skill, which is just unmatched when it comes to skills of that variety. We then have Woody. Woody is one buff away from being really good, from being meta-defining. It's just his skill is a bit janky, and I don't really know what the design thought behind Woody was, but I feel like he does good things now, and I think with a buff that makes the character make sense a bit more, he could finally be where Gameloft want him to be, or he can match as good as he reads on paper. Gaston, I feel like just being a heavy brawler does him a lot of favours. Jafar, being a brawler, does him a lot of favours. His top speed is that of a heavy character, even though he is light. It doesn't make sense a whole deal to me, but I think he's a better version of Hades. He does what Hades does, but even better. Randall is someone who can be really meta in the right player's hands, but because he's got such a high skill cap, I don't feel good putting him outside of useful, just because that's where he is on the average players, with the average player's skill level. Belle is essentially Belle is good, and she was one of the best characters in the game at one point, but she's just being outclassed by so many other characters. And Jessie as well is just being outclassed by so many other characters. Top speed is so important, and when a character doesn't have that, you really feel it. And then we're going into the meta tier. The meta tier, these are characters I wholeheartedly 100% would say invest in these characters, and any character that I talk about from here is a worthy investment. In the meta tier, we've got Jasmine, King Triton, Goofy, Mowgli, Hector Barbosa, Davy Jones, Hercules, Sadness, Gantu, Jumba, Stitch, Will Turner, Sully, Genie, what's his name? Kristoff, Ariel, Elsa, Baloo, Eric, Anna, Celia, Ralph, and Joy. The most stacked tier in the tier list, and I think that is a good thing when you've got most of the roster in the meta tier or in the really good tier. Then that's only a good thing. I'm only going to pick out like a few that are worth mentioning here. Davy Jones and Hector Barbosa, I think both of them are going to be really good. Davy Jones, once more people start getting him and start leveling him up, he has the potential to be in Beyond Meta. I just didn't feel good putting him there at the moment because A, I don't have him yet, and B, a lot of other players probably don't have him yet. The same with Hector Barbosa. He's the first character in the game to have a passive skill. Really, he is the textbook definition of meta defining. He's the first character to have a specific new type of skill, which really makes the game a lot more interesting and makes me interested in seeing what characters in the existing roster are going to get passive skills. Hopefully all of them at some point, but also what characters going forward are going to be given passive skills. I want to talk a little bit about Ralph, because he used to be in Beyond Meta, but now he's gone down. He did have a top speed debuff. He did get nerfed a little bit. Not drastically, but it's enough to feel the difference substantially, but I wouldn't say he does necessarily worse. It's just he does about the same, but he struggles a bit more to get there. We then have Will Turner. Will Turner is another one of the new characters in the season. He's just really good. He's not flashy in any way, but he's got decent top speed, decent skills. I would say he's a better version of what Hades does with his regular activation. He's probably, like, that's where he sits, and Hades is already breaching into meta tier anyway. So, like, Will Turner having that and better stats on top of it, just, meta tier. Not quite beyond meta, just because he doesn't do anything hugely interesting. His top speed is good, but it doesn't breach that kind of heavy brawler territory. And you've got characters like Sully and King Triton, which have the stats but don't have the skills to kind of couple with the stats in the best way possible. A character like Jumba is really, really good, but I feel like the lack of handling hinders Jumba and Gantu more so than it hinders someone like some of the characters that I've put in Beyond Meta. And when we look at Beyond Meta, we've got, and these are the characters that I would say invest in these characters first. If you are in a position where you can invest in these characters, then go the whole hog with them. And in this tier we have Hans, we have Aladdin, we have Anger, Beast, Shang, Buzz, Bo Peep, and Steamboat Pete. I would say Bo Peep is a character that could probably go down. She's on the edge, just because her skills aren't great, but her stats are just so good. They're doing all of the work for her. Steamboat P has the best combat stat in the game. He's also like the 6th highest top speed, and he's got a really good skill which couples with his combat stat as well. He's getting so many stuns out, and other races are being stunned for a very long time because of his combat stat, and he's not getting stunned for nearly as long because his combat stat is so high. We then have Buzz, who has the ability, whose charged ability rockets him halfway through the track, which that skill will never get old. It will never not be useful. Shang got a buff which makes his charged activation for his skill last an extra 0.8 seconds, which doesn't seem like that much, but it really helps just to be able to guard yourself for an extra second over and it's 0.8 seconds per level of that skill. So, he's gone from being pretty milquetoast to being absolutely broken. His stats are great. He's a defender with he's either got cloak or shield, and either way both of them are great for a defender. He's just a really solid character that's just been designed from the ground up in a really good way, and has gotten a buff which he really didn't need because he was already really good, but it's just pushed him over the edge into being one of the best characters in the game, and possibly being the best defender in the game. He might be even better than Buzz. Beast is just really good. You get him in his angered state, in his rage form, and he's unstoppable. He's just an absolute machine. Anger is a cross between Jafar and Hans, he's Jafar's skill with Hans's stats. So that pairing is just so good. Yeah, you're getting so many stuns out with anger. He's got such high top speed. He's just insane. And he looks like a rubber. So, you know, there you go. Aladdin, he's just, the way that his stats work, he's not got the best stats in the game. His skills are pretty good, but it's having access, and he is the only character, I believe, outside of Genie, who has access to both, and possibly anxiety, has access to both the rush and boost skills, and those are the best ones in the game. And having a character have access to both makes them automatically insane. And then finally, best character in the game is still Hans. They refuse to nerf my boy. I feel bad calling him my boy because he's a milquetoast character in the movie. He's barely there in terms of like actual personality, but for some reason they made this freaking douche the best character in the game, and they refuse to make him the worst character in the game. And I think it's a joke, and I love them for it. Because we've got characters like Hercules in the game, we've got characters like Ariel, characters like Wreck-It Ralph, characters like Stitch, and characters like Sully, like the Genie, like Mickey Mouse, the Miska Muska himself. We've got characters like Hades, the god of death, in the game, and they're getting outclassed by some rich prick with a sword. And I freaking love it. Yeah. Why is Hans the best character in the game? Because fuck you, that's why. Because he's got the best skills in the game. He's got the highest top speed in the game, which is no other character comes close to the top speed of Hans. And he's just, for some reason, he's just a really good character. I don't know why Gameloft decided to make him so good. They just did. And yeah, I will leave it with that, because he's just a good character. And just invest in Hans. If you haven't invested in Hans yet, do it, because he's going to be at the top of ranked multiplayer for a very long time. Like I said, I don't know where next season's gonna take the game's roster in terms of meta. We might see characters that rely on rush and boost being brought down because of things in the patch notes. To go into a bit more detail with that, basically if a character is in first, they won't be able to use rush or like characters that rely on rush and boost. If a character is in first, they won't be able to use rush or boost. Also, characters that rely on their unique skills might be hindered as well, because you won't be able to get your unique skill twice in a row. So characters like Beast might just characters like Beast and Randall might see themselves going down because they rely on getting 3, or in Randall's case 5 unique skills to be able to get into their like unique form. Even characters like Tia Dalma and maybe even Ariel might suffer at that as well. And then characters won't be able to use, or certain characters won't be able to use bomb or any of the offensive regular skills while they're in last place. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on with the way skills are going to be working next season that may affect the tier list in a way that's different to what you would expect normally. But yeah, it's an interesting time to be a Disney Speedstorm fan. I still have my problems with the game and the way that the game is set up and the pay-to-win aspects of it. But I still enjoy my time with the game, and I think next season, looking at the patch notes, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm not sure. Nightmare Before Christmas isn't something that I necessarily am hugely excited for. I love Nightmare Before Christmas in Kingdom Hearts. I don't necessarily love the film on its own, but I'm interested to see what they do with the characters in it, because, you know, Oogie Boogie could be a lot of fun, Jack Skellington could be a lot of fun. I'm not too sure what they can do with Dr. Finkelstein. I'm not too sure what they can do with Sally, in all honesty, but, you know, we'll see what they do. They've cooked it with this season. They cooked it with the Wreck-It Ralph season. They cooked it with the Inside Out season. So I'm pretty sure they'll serve up a pretty tasty meal this time as well. So yeah, that is the Disney Speedstorm tier list for Season 9. I'm excited for Season 10. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with my tier list. If you disagree for whatever reason, let me know in the comments below as well. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.